Hello everyone, I am part of Network Jungle family and I like to welcome you CCNA routing and switching. Let's begin. Today we will discuss and configure the HSRP protocol. HSRP is nothing but first hop redundancy protocol. First hop means all the VLANs are by default it reaches the first router. So it is called first hop redundancy protocol. What is mean redundancy? So redundancy means by adding two physical links to protect the single point failure. Mainly it is used to avoid the single point failure by adding the one more link within the system LAN network to avoid the loss of internet connectivity. FSRP is also called HSRP, Hot Standby Routing Protocol. Here, first hop redundancy protocol is also called Hot Standby Routing Protocol. Simply it is called HSRP, Hot Standby Routing Protocol. As well as it is the Cisco proprietary protocol. This concept can be only used only the Cisco devices. Mainly it is used for redundancy to avoid the network for highly availability. If one router is fail, then another router will take over the traffic to does not affect the LAN internet connectivity. That's why it can termed as hot standby routing protocol. You can draw the scenario. There are two routers in the infra. Here switch. Here end devices. End devices may be server, PC, whatever it may be. By default, all the end devices are connected to the switches. Here one router, then another router. This router can act as the active mode. Then another router can act as the standby mode. By default, all the traffics are passes through the RT router to the internet. For example, if the RT router path is failure or RT router will be turned off due to the power fluctuations, then standby router will becomes the active. Then it take the role, pass the traffic through the internet. By default, router active and standby. The hello packets will be the 3 seconds. Maximum time limit is 10 seconds. If it does not receive any hello message to the standby router, then standby router will act as the active router. 3 seconds between the data will be transmitted between the active router and standby router to the election process. By default, active router based on the high IP address. High IP address nothing but, for example, one router having the 192.168.1.5. Then another router having the 192.168.1.6. 2.5. Which one having the higher IP address? Second one. So it becomes the AT router. This is the first election process. Then second election process based on the priority. By default, all the routers having the priority value is 100. It can be increased up to 255. Which one having the higher priority value? It becomes the AT router. For example, you can set the standby router, AT router is 100, then standby router is 110 means, then standby router will becomes the active. It can mainly pass all the traffic, then AT router becomes the standby router. It can operate the UDP port number 195. UDP is nothing but Unified Datagram Protocol. User Datagram Protocol. And the port number multicast IP address is 240.0.2 for HSRP. 222.4.0.0.102 is the HSRP version 2. By enabling the host standby routing protocol, it can create the virtual router as well as the virtual MAC address. Virtual MAC address how can created 0.0.0.0C07.AC. Then last one is the group number. For example, it is group number 0 means 00. Group number 1 means 01. That's why it can create the multicast MAC address. By default, all the groups are 0. We can change up to FF. That is the 255. By default, preempt is the re-election process. By default, preempt value is command is disabled. We need to enable the preempt command. Next we see about the HSRP state. It having the some states to learn the which one become the AT router, then which one become the standby router, which one router having the listing router. First one, disable state. Disable state is nothing but not yet to ready. Not yet to ready to start the election process. The next state is initial state. Then next state is speak state, and I can explain one by one. First I have to write what are the states are available. Then listen state, then standby state, last one is the active state. Disable statements not yet to ready the election process. Insert statements just enable the HSRP on the interface. Enable the HSRP process on the router interface. Next one, speak states. By default, 3 seconds it can be exchanged between the AT router and standby router to share the informations about the priority value, then IP address. These are the messages. It is the hello message. Next one is the noun the virtual IP and virtual MAC address. It lists the virtual IP. We need to configure the virtual IP address to the all the LAN network gateway address. For example, there are two routers. This is the AT router, this is the standby router. For example, 1.1 for this IP address, 1.2 is the standby router, then switch, then end devices. We need to configure the gateway is 1.3. 1.3 is the virtual router as well as the virtual MAC address. I already told both the address will be created virtually, then it will be configured and update the information to the every PC and as well as the routers. By default, it send the information 3 seconds. If it is maximum reach more than 10 seconds means then standby router will becomes the AT router. There is no information getting from the AT router. So the AT router becomes think it got failed. So after the information based on the higher IP address and higher priority value, another router will become the standby router. Which one having the lower value, lower IP address or lower priority value, it becomes the standby router. If AT router failovers means it will take the, if AT router will failover means it will take the role. And pass the traffic from LAN to WAN. Then AT router. AT router means it can just pass the LAN internet connectivity to WAN and it will also send the hello message to the other routers. So I am the router to pass the traffic. You can hold the process until I did not get updated to you. We can add one more router, 1.4. This router can act as the listening routers. For example, AT router and standby router, then third router is the listening router. For example, AT router is fails means then standby router will become active, then listening router it will become standby states. I hope you can understand the theory concept of the HSRP protocol. It is nothing but the hot standby routing protocol. Hot standby routing protocol means it is the first hope redundancy protocol. First hope means its next step get to the router interface. That's mean first hope redundancy protocol. This is the redundancy or first hope, then it is the redundancy protocol. Let's take the practice. Let's take the router, two routers, and I need one switches. Here I need to take the different device, means you can connect the stereo cable. Here you can configure the 192. 192.168.102 for this router, 192.168.1.3. Then standby IP is the virtual IP is the 1.8.168.1.1. Virtual IP is to need the configure all the default gateway IP address. Now we check the data between the LAN devices. Go to the real-time mode. Success. Yeah. Then go to the router. First router. Go to the privilege mode. And after that, global configuration mode. Now interface G0/0. IP address 192.168.1.2 followed by submask. After that, you must use the command more shutdown. More shutdown means it can turn on the router interface. Likewise, we need to configure another router. Use privilege mode, global configuration mode, then sub configuration mode, sub interface configuration mode, then IP address 192.168.1.3 followed by submask, the no shutdown command. (1.2), 1.3, 1.4, 1.5, then 1.6. Okay. Now we configure the HSRP protocol. Go to the interface. Under the G0/0 interface, you can give the command standby 1 IP 192.168.1.1. Then config interface G0/0 standby 1 IP 192.168.1.1. Name to the config name jungle 1, then config terminal host name, now we check the which one having the active state, then which one having the, here you can see, so this state is the active, 5 states is changed the information, then virtual IP address 192.168.1.1. I already told this is the group ID. You can give the command standby 1, then IP, hello time is the 3 seconds, then hold time is the 10 seconds, next hello seconds will be within 1.5 seconds, then by default preemption exception is disabled, then active router is the local means this router is the active state, then standby router is the neighbor router, by default priority value is 100. Now we check the another router also, so standby, here you can see this one is the active, this one is the standby, then virtual IP address the 192.168.1.1. MAC address will be, virtual MAC address will be same for both the routers, and virtual IP also same. Then next hello seconds will be reserved up to 2 seconds. Pre-exception is disabled. Then active router 192.168.1.2. 1.2 is the left side router, 1.3 is the right side router. So this is the active state. Then this one is the standby state. For example, we need to change the priority value. How it is happened? We check the config terminal interface G0/0 standby 1 priority value. By default, all the priority value is 100. I give 110. Let's see what happened. It does not update the information. We will change the preemption. Preempt value, yeah, by giving this command it will take the re-election process. So we check once again. So standby, you can see previously this router can access the active role. Now it is standby. And active route is the 192.168.1.3 due to the priority value is 110. Then it becomes the standby router. Now we check the standby router. This router becomes the active states. Neighbor router is the 1.2, that is the standby router. Again you can change the value. This router having the higher priority, this router becomes the, go to the interface, under the interface command, standby group number, priority value 120, standby 1, preempt. You can see gigabit Ethernet 0/0 under the group number 1, the state changed from standby to active states. Now we can see this router previously standby, now it is the active. Here it speaks to change, that is the third message. This router becomes the standby states. We can change the delay sequence value under the command interface G0/0, standby 1, timers. This is the hello interval between the routers. I can change from 3 to 1, then hold time. By giving the lower value, it can update the information shortly. Interface G0/0 1. So gone 50 more. Interface G0/0. Then standby 1, timer. Hello message is 1 interval, 1 second. Then hold is the 4 seconds. As well as standby authentication is not available. Okay. We can secure the standard HSP protocol with the authentication method. Next one is the verification command. So standby brief, so standby brief, you can see interface G0/0, interface G0/0 under the group number 1. So here is the priority value 120, that's why it becomes the active router. Active is local, standby is the 1.3, 1.3 is the neighbor router, then active router is the neighbor router, standby state is the local router, then virtual IP is the 1.1. By giving the command show standby brief, it can show the information. Next command is the show standby. So standby gigabit Ethernet 0/0. You can see active state, stand state is changed, group value it can already send. Next one is the so standby brief. Only 2 commands is available. Now we check the pin 192.168.1.1. The continuous command is not working this router. Now we can turn off the router. What will happen? So which one are having the active router? Left side router. For example, I disconnect the cable. For example, this scenario, if the cable is broken, then automatically it will lose the LAN connectivity. Okay. You can see the message. It changed from standby to active because it does not receive any hello message from the active router. So standby, then store standby brief. You can see the command standby state is active, then 192.168 at 1.1 make address, then active is row, standby state also unknown. If the router is not got it, then unknown. After that, we need to connect the cable again based on the information. What will happen? Standby state to active. Yeah, it becomes the standby state after connecting this cable. Or if the router got power failure, means shutdown. Shutdown means due to the power fluctuation or command improper commands. Again, it state to change its state from standby to active. So these are the scenarios happen in the real infra. You can understand the concept HSRP in deeply in this video. I hope you can understand the concept of hot standby routing protocol. It will avoid the network losses of internet connectivity. Thank you for watching this video.